I don't think dialogue is that important. I think it's maybe 5 to 10% of the screenplay.
If you were to pick up a screenplay and read it, isn't it mostly dialogue on the page?
I mean, there's always the thing of like, you look at the first page and if there's like one line of dialogue, it's like, ugh. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's what you're asking or whatever, but I don't think dialogue is that important. I think it's maybe 5 to 10% of the screenplay. I don't put a lot of weight on the dialogue. I think that can be almost, when it's well structured, you can change them out like light bulbs, you know, and that's when you find like the best line. That's where you have these like iconic lines that hit, I think, you know.
Why are you a strong believer in writing dialogue last?
For that very reason. I don't think it makes the story. I think it's more of like the icing. It's more of on the spectacle side. I've talked about, I've mentioned this in like other videos and things of that nature, but I think Pulp Fiction specifically and Tarantino kind of like put every aspiring screenwriter back 30 years, right? Because Tarantino is obviously a very unique individual voice, sure, right? But when I lived through it, I remember when Pulp Fiction came out, and I was soon after that started film school, and just that's what everybody tried to do.
Right.
Myself, I tried to do the same thing. You know, I tried to write, oh, this is like Pulp Fiction, but like, you know, horror movie with banshees. You know, truth, and really, we should be looking back at like the William Goldmans and like the generation from like the 30s, 40s, 50s. You know what I mean? That generation of screenwriter where it was all based on the structure and the narrative. And
why do you say that dialogue only holds weight of like 5 to 10% of the screenplay?
Just a lot based on my own methods of writing and developing. That's what I've discovered and I've found. It's difficult to grasp or to see or to understand because the dialogue is the thing that we see and we experience, right? And those iconic lines, we know those lines, and those lines were written at some point. And was written, you know what I mean? It's like, well, that's a great line, but again, the reason it's great is because of that buildup of that structure to that moment leading up to it, you know. So I think it was mostly based on my own experience of writing that I can, you know, if I can write a 30-page treatment and the story's engaging and there's no dialogue in it, well, that tells me that dialogue's obviously not of, you know what I mean? It's of less importance than the structure of the narrative, for certain, you know what I mean? Whether it's 5 to 10%, that's just kind of what the number I've come up with. Because again, it takes me to do the wall thing, that'll take a month and a half. To do the treatment, that's a month, 2 months, you know. To write the screenplay, I'll do it in 3 days if I have the time, you know. So what does that tell you, you know, about, you know, and the screenplay, basically, by the time I get that, basically what I'm doing is just adding dialogue to the treatment, you know. But you present these characters in a situation where, like, you know, the person walks into the room and they just say, "Hi, Susan," but you know what is behind those lines that people, you know what I mean? So the dialogue can be, "Hi, Susan, how are you?" "I'm fine, nice dress." "Thanks, I just picked it up yesterday." "That's great. Hungry, want something to eat?" "Yeah, let's go to the kitchen." That's dialogue, right? Which could, on the surface, is like very boring and mundane. But if your narrative is structured in a way that you're not even listening to it, like, oh my God, oh, she's saying that because, you know what I mean?
Right,
There's all this underlying stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's not because of the dialogue, you know? So that's why I don't put a lot of weight on the dialogue. Now it's the icing, because instead of, "Hi, how are you doing?" it's, "Hey, Susie," whatever. I don't know, that was a weird one. But, you know, whatever flashy,
Where did
fun
that come
lines you
from?
want to
Yeah.
have in there, you know. but the subtext, the meaning is stays the same. So you can remove "Hi, how are you" and replace it with "Jet engines are loud and annoying. I think they're ba 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 ba. Want to go to the kitchen and eat? Yeah, sure, right?" And then the dialogue's more like punchy. It's more catchy, right? But it doesn't change the structure of the narrative or the meaning of the scene at all. You know.
Do you think when a screenwriter puts in a lot of dialogue, it's almost a way of like they love to hear their own voice?
I think that Pulp Fiction curse, that Tarantino curse. I think that I saw that. I don't know how much it is today. I couldn't say for today, but up until 10 years ago, I know that was still like I would see something like I'm like, oh, this person's trying to write like Tarantino, you know, or this person's trying to be clever with their dialogue, you know.
Yeah, but it was at the time though. If you think about, let's say, Swingers or Singles or all of those movies, sort of around that same time, that was very popular, very snappy, kind of catchy dialogue.
Yeah, Clerks.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Clerks is very dialogue heavy, and I think those are anomalies, you know, almost. I mean, Kevin Smith, to use him, like he's making movies his own way, you know,
Sure.
and began that. So yeah, and these other first time, you know, filmmakers and films. I also like in terms of like Swingers or Singles, you also have this celebrity aspect that was already involved. You know what I mean? Clerks is something I put truly independent and truly, you know what I mean? These were like not famous people that are then made to carry this entire film. You know what I mean? That film is, the reason you followed it was because of the writing and because of the dialogue. But like it's very hard to define the structure of that movie for me. You know what I mean? It's very unique. It's very like true to that person. When going back to saying like write what you know, that's he wrote what he knew. You know.
Right, and his voice is so interesting to listen to, whether you've seen him speak somewhere or you've read his book or whatever. He has such you just want to listen to what he has to say next.
And then say like Robert Rodriguez and El Mariachi, right? His is more of an example of like, well, just get it on celluloid. You know what I mean? Like capture the image and I'll put it together myself or whatever. So, you know, his was more like less in the writing. I'm going to write this, you know, clever dialogue. His is more like, well, I'm just going to get the pieces I need to put it together. And I think something like Clerks is more based on the writing aspect of it, you know.
Did you rent a lot of videos in Washington?
Sure.
Were you that guy that was checking out all these titles?
The DVDs, I still own like thousands of DVDs.
Do you?
I would go to like pawn stores and get like the 4 for $20 or 5 for $20, you know, and just, yeah. Now all those movies are basically on, you know, some form of streaming anywhere. But
you like having the fact that you have that media. It's not just in the cloud somewhere. You own it. It's on your shelf.
There's a lot of aspects from the DVD world that are not available today or that have been missed. Like director's commentary is one of them, and behind the scenes, you know, like featurette, like seeing how movies are made. Just watching like a movie set behind, you know what I mean, behind the camera, and you're like, oh, okay, somebody brings out this thing and they clap it in front of a camera and they say these words and then they go over here and then this person calls out to that and then, oh, they don't start doing that till then or you know, or, oh, okay, well, when I saw the movie, it's this big explosion, the person fell, but like, oh, it was just, they just jumped off a chair and somebody threw styrofoam on top of it and then you add sound effects and editing, you know, and so I think there's a lot of those aspects that aren't maybe still available, but they're overlooked, you know, quickly. You know?
Yeah, I agree. It's like having an album too, and opening it up and seeing different inserts.
Listening to an album from start to finish. That's something that I was talking about this recently. I was like, that's a rare thing now. I feel like, you know, and I was like at the gym the other day, and I was like, oh, I'm going to listen to this whole start to finish. And it's something I used to listen 30 years ago, and I was like, oh my God, the memories of just like knowing what song is coming next and what part, you know what I mean? But these, you know, and not just the hits of that album, you know, not just the singles, but the whole album as a whole, taking it all in is something that's, yeah.
What album was it?
Pantera's official live 101 proof, you know.
Is that the one with Cemetery Gates?
Oh yeah, well, it's a whole live album.
Okay.
Yeah, so it came out just after the Great Southern Trendkill album, I think. And yeah, I mean, I recall being in weight rooms with friends, you know what I mean, and just like, or watching the home movie, just like, yeah, and you know every crowd noise, every fill in of between the songs, every like mistune of the guitar, every, you know, just everything, like when you listen to the album, like, oh, you know, start to finish. Now it's like Spotify. I do it all the time, you know what I mean? I would just shuffle my like songs, you know.
But listening to that took you back to a certain time?
For sure, yeah, yeah.
And you, did it fill you with happiness, or it was just sort of a nostalgia, it's neither good or bad?
Just more, yeah, this is interesting. This is, you know, this is something I haven't done in a while. Yeah. Yeah,
because it's a movie in our mind when we hear certain songs.
Yeah.
And maybe no one else needs to know the movie, but we know it.
I mean, I spent a lot of time like in my room alone, you know, like growing up, you know what I mean? Just like, whether music or films, you know, just, you know, have, you know, this certain, nostalgia connection. And now I think back and more of like, I'm like, isn't that interesting that you're able to like after all, I still know every single lyric to every word, or you know what I mean, like every edit to you know, the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, I had that entire movie memorized, and I could recite the entire film, like just like off the, you know, just sitting here, I'll be like, this line, you know. That's pretty interesting, you know? And so, yeah, if you like revisit that, you can't help but like those things kind of come back up, you know?
Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Here is a complimentary question from our book Story Questions.